This video is sponsored by Aquashine Exteriors, professional jet washing and cleaning services across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, including Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. Are you feeling it's time to get that driveway nice and shiny for when you come home, or are you wanting to get that guttering tidied up and spotless again? They deliver this, plus much, much more. Please head into the description below where you'll find their details for their website, including the socials, Facebook and Instagram. You also need to find their before and after portfolio. You can also call them on 07503 998 088 for a free quotation. Don't wait till next week. Don't think you'll do it another day. Pick up the phone, give them a call, check them out.
Hello, Cherries fans. We are live back again for another watch along. Hopefully, I won't be jinxing it yet again this time around. I'm going to be running solo for most of this afternoon / evening, so please do join in, leave your comments, ask me a question, stick around if you want a second opinion that isn't someone on the commentary team at the Vitality Stadium, but I'm sure most of you are probably going to have the match on some form of commentary going along with the game. But thanks for joining us, those of you who are here. It's going to be a tough one today. It is going to be a tough one. It's a little bit of a concern already. I think the team lineups have been announced. Going to a back five, that's an interesting one. I understand why. Anthony is who I thought would be coming in as a straight swap for Tavernier. But Tavernier, we were well aware that Tavernier was injured, so he drops out. That's to be expected. But I would have hoped that it would have been Anthony or someone slightly more attacking. Instead, he's put in Mepham. He switched us to a back five. It's going to be a backs to the wall display, and I'm not sure how long we can hold out. We did against Wolves. We held out for the whole time against Wolves. In the end, for our first away clean sheet of the season, first clean sheet for a while. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. If we're going to be able to actually get forward and attack, you need to be able to at least provide that pressure on the counter, and Anthony will definitely help with that. It's going to be a very difficult game regardless. Thank you for those that are joining live. We've got Sean. Sorry, but that's about 6 at least as Lerma dropping. Could see 7. I think he often jumps in defence. I hope that's wrong. I understand the idea of Lerma dropping in. I do think Lerma drops. I think our entire midfield drops too deep, too frequently, and leaves too much space for long range shots, which is why a long range special from De Bruyne is not playing. Maybe Foden from range. Maybe Grealish. I don't know. It's Man City's lineup is very, very attacking. Hello, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. Alan, all we ask 100% effort 2-2. I take a Desmond. I take Desmond every day of the week. Do want that 100% work. If we get it, then hopefully things will work out. Connor, afternoon from the States. I suppose it's morning for you, depending on where you are. But thank you for joining. David, hello. Hope things are all right in over there in Australia. A lovely morning, I'm sure, as usual over there. If we held out with Wolves as we had a counter, we don't have that with this formation. It's not that we don't have a counter. It's just going to be a lot more difficult. I would say, Sean, I do agree that playing what will probably be a 5-3-2. Actually, I say 5-3-2. It's probably more of a 5-2-3. I wonder if I can pull up a expected 11 and start typing them. Actually, to be fair, I would imagine that Amatubal has probably put out what he expects the backline to look like. Yes, there we go. So that is... Actually, why don't I just click the button and then it will actually load up. That's what Ahmed expects. I think similar. I think probably quite similar. I think you're probably going to find Traoré being more on the left and Ouattara more on the right. Traoré, when he was brought in, was certainly it was looked at that he would be someone that can play across the front three. Uwatara as well, actually, is someone that's been talked about as someone that can play across the front three as well. So it is entirely in those three how good our counter-attacking is. Billing needs to be the one that sets it off, provided he gets the ball. Zamora will obviously support when we're in decent attacking positions. Smith won't get that far forward. Smith will barely cross the halfway line, I imagine. But that's what I'm expecting, without a doubt. I think that's roughly what we're going to see, and it's going to be a tough one. Traore's defensive work on the right, on coming sort of following down to act as a left mid, is going to be interesting, because he hasn't really had to do that much defensive work in a structured sort of two banks of defensive lines kind of thing. Sean, there we have the worst record with set pieces, away defense so deep, probably give away loads of fouls. Yeah, it's difficult. Without seeing how we'll play in the first sort of like 10, 20 minutes, it's difficult to see why exactly he would switch to that back five, because I'm trying to think of what games that Bournemouth have played recently. And we'll come onto the table in a bit. I'm trying to think what games Bournemouth have played recently where we've actually set up in a back five under O'Neill. Because we didn't through any of these. We didn't even set up in a back five against United, and that was away from home. United in good form. Chelsea, was that a back five? Yes, so Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea was the last time I think we set up with a back five. And that obviously didn't go all that well. Alan here, Smith against Grealish. Yeah, I suppose the point of that is, that you would have Mepham. That I would imagine it'd be Mepham playing on the right hand side. I'd imagine Mepham will come right to sort of help support that. I do think it's a good idea to have Mepham in this squad, because Mepham actually did a really good job of putting as much pressure as he could on Haaland in the away game. I was there. Mepham did a really good job of really being very, very aggressive with Haaland. The one time he switched off, Haaland got his assist. So particularly as you see, we've got Alvarez. They've got Alvarez in there as well. The thing is that I suppose it's an often just assumed thing that a back five is inherently more defensive, or a back five inherently would give you more solidity. But the fact of the matter is that I find, particularly against a team like Man City, I would say it'd be more important to make sure you have an abundance of midfielders, central midfielders, to try and crowd the space outside of the box, because they're going to sort of try and move around as best they can to create opportunities. Just having the box entirely packed just encourages them to shoot from range, and they've got players that can do that. And if the box is packed, any awkward deflection could easily send the ball into the back of the net. So it's an interesting decision. The other thing you'd say is that Man City aren't exactly in the greatest of form. Now let's not kid ourselves. This Man City is a really good side. They're not like, we take pretty much, well, I think it would be silly for us to say we wouldn't take every single member of their starting 11 and probably have them replace someone in our squad, in our starting 11. I'm trying to think of any player that we think is better at Bournemouth currently than any of Man City's players. Man City's first 11. Nope, can't think of one. So, this is still a really good Man City team, but they're not in the best of form. They have shown vulnerability to the counter as as a lot of voices will have said before in the past, or in the recent recent responses to Man City dropping points against Forest, not winning midweek, against RB Leipzig. But yeah, this is going to be really, really, really defensive display. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier, Daniel, I thought it would just be a straight swap for Anthony. I thought we'd apply a little bit more pressure further up the pitch. We'd try to press them a little bit more, take a bit of a risk, because why not? You can talk about this being a free hit. We're running out of free hits. Like our last game, I actually had a look through. I realized we've only got 7. Sorry, we've only got 7 home games left. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 home games left, and of those home games, City, Liverpool, Fulham, and Brighton a bit better. West Ham, very important. Leeds, massive game. And then Chelsea and Man United. 4 of our final 8 home games are against City, Liverpool, United, and Chelsea. Like, you can talk about free hits. We're running out of them. We've got to start getting something against these bigger teams, and it's really important that we do. Hello, Kirk. A defend for our lives. Let's go, Cherries. Yes, I mean, fingers crossed. And it really is going to probably be a backs-to-the-wall performance. If we're going to get anything out of this game, it really is. Sean, yes, I'm a massive fan of Mepham. I think you should play with Stevens. I understand left side, except that Mepham would still be better than Senesi. I think Senesi's just a little bit short on confidence at the moment. Just a little bit short on confidence. And I understand that, there's Mepham could definitely play on the left-hand side. But, I mentioned that I mentioned a bit earlier on, what was it, a few previews ago? Last time Mepham started for us, a left centre back, I believe, was the playoff semi-final second leg against Brentford. Not great memories for him on that game. So, I think if I was going to have Mepham, and Stevens starting as a 2, I'd have Stevens on the left, and I'd have Mepham on the right. Stevens is the more experienced player. He's the more capable of performing that role, I think. You just make sure you tell Mepham, look, you tell Stevens and Mepham, don't mess around with the ball too much at the back. This is a watch along. We've done these before. I'll be on till the end of the game. I don't think I'm going to have anyone joining me at any point, whether pre or halftime thoughts. I think it's just going to be me. So you're going to have fun listening to my voice for the next 2 hours. But I am hoping that Kirk will be able to find us connection outside the stadium and join us for a bit of a review straight after the game. But we'll wait and see what happens. It's not a guarantee. Just think what to put up here. Thinking back, as I mentioned, to our last game, it's been brought up before that we did a decent job of sort of neutering Haaland, as it were. And we were on the defensive for so much and for so long, and that really we actually did a decent job of preventing them from creating any good chances up until they scored their first goal, at which point we had to push out a little bit more. We essentially got caught on the counter twice. And then I'm trying to remember what the fourth goal was, whether that was on the counter as well. It probably was. It wasn't the greatest attacking performance from us, but we were missing the likes of Solanke. Tavernier actually started showing the capabilities that he had in taking the ball from deep and dribbling. He was just, every time he got the ball, he took on the first person in front of him, and he more often than not beat him. It was quite impressive in that regard. We've got to do a lot more of that this time round. But as most of us that watched the game against Wolves, we had opportunities to counter-attack, but we just didn't make anything of them. I'm really hoping there'll be a good amount of work done during the week. Pardon me. I'm hoping there'll been a really good amount of work done during the week to actually pull off some half-decent passes when you're in your opposition's third, when you're counter-attacking, because it was really so frustrating. To have those opportunities just disappear because we just couldn't really string 2 passes together once we got into our opposition's half. And that has to change against Man City because, we got 3 good counter-attacking opportunities in the first half against Wolves. We'd be lucky to get 3 of those in the... Well, I say that. We'd probably be lucky to get 3 in a match against Man City, even if we are the home team. Yeah, it's going to be an incredibly difficult match. David Lerma own goal was the fourth. I'm going to have to watch back the highlights and remember what happened there, because I'm trying to think, and I just cannot remember the fourth goal for the life of me. Oh, now I remember. Yeah. Okay. No, I remember now, because it was in the second. It was in the second half. It was a Cancelo cross from the left across goal, and Lerma was a little bit unlucky that it flicked off him. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, Sean Higgins was one of our worst final touch. Oh, I've seen this season. It was just for the game. Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, it was quite something that we managed to win that game, and I do think that we've been more worthy of results more recently. When you think about Newcastle 1-1, we were very unlucky not to win that game. I think, as much as I think a draw was a relatively fair result in terms of sort of chances created, it's that Solanke flick in the last minute that really would have given us a fantastic 3 points. The Forest game, we should have scored 2 or 3 in that one. Should never given the opportunity. Brighton, we were unlucky to concede at the end there. I think we were worthy of a point there. Brentford, we got battered. It's fine. Man United got battered. Palace, well, let's not go that far back, because I don't really want to remember any of the games that go further back than that. That was in our worst period of the season by an absolute mile. So where are we? Countdown 8 minutes. Just as well, for those of you that have joined me already that are going to be sticking around, I'm watching this on a tablet. Sky Go is about a minute behind-ish. So if you're watching on a TV, you'll see everything about a minute before me. So so I probably will get spoiled by comments, because I'm sure you'll probably see the goal go in and start typing goal, and I'll just have to wait for it to come in and then give my thoughts. But hopefully, it should be good for all of you watching along. You'll see it happen. You'll generate your thoughts, and then a minute later, I'll start giving mine. So it works okay as a watch along, apart from the fact that I get spoiled about every goal that goes in, because I'll see it typed in the comments before it happens. But don't worry about that. I'm used to it. I tend to have Twitter on for too much when I'm watching games, and in the end, I see goals go in, they get announced on Twitter, and then I finally see them a minute later, and I do it to myself most of the time. So before we start, and I mentioned it won't be too long before the teams are coming out onto the pitch. Predictions. I haven't given mine yet. I haven't actually put my thoughts together for predictions for me yet. I'm not overly confident, I've got to say. Any point will be fantastic. I won't be overly worried. If we lose this 3-0, 4-0, and it's clear that they just have a great game and they batter us, I don't think that's I don't think that's really all that bad. You want to get something from every game, but it doesn't mean you're going to, and you certainly shouldn't go into every game expecting to get a result, particularly against a team that we have literally not even gotten a point against in our time in the Premier League over our 11 most recent matches with them in the league, and that goes back to the Cup as well. Obviously, we played them in, what was it, the FA Cup or League Cup a few seasons in our first season back in the Championship. I remember Surridge scoring in a 2-1 loss there. That was during the stadiums were still closed due to COVID on that one. But I think I'm probably expecting something like a 2-0 or a 3-0 result to Man City. But if we can frustrate them, if we can defend well to the point, to the same kind of standards that we were doing against Wolves, and if it's still 0-0 with about 20 minutes to go, you never know. Could easily grab one on the counter, and then we'd have something to hold on for. I almost kind of worry that if we do score, we score too early. If we were by some miracle to score within the first half an hour, I worry that we just sit back for the next hour and we do nothing going forward, which would be a really, which would not be a very good mentality to continue for the game. It's just far too defensive. It just encourages them far too much to pounce on us. Sean, 4-1-1 as a counter has looked good, so I still want that, but I have to say now 3-1 loss, and even that's generous. So we can't just defend against top teams. Yeah, so the formation change has made you think twice on that one, which is fair enough. About 5 minutes-ish to kick off. I suppose the one important thing to look at before we start is the table. It's unfortunate. We've had results go against us a little bit again today. Thankfully, Everton lost 2-0 to Aston Villa, so that's good, but Everton stay above us. The frustrating one is West Ham beating Nottingham Forest 4-0. That's a big win for West Ham. Really pulls them away. And then the other one, obviously, is Leeds beating Southampton 1-0. That is such a huge loss for Southampton. Obviously, it was at Leeds, so it's not so much of a thing. But Southampton were always going to struggle this season. It was always going to struggle once Nathan Jones gone and the players they've brought in, the situation they've got. That's a squad that I don't see being strong enough to stay up. Unless they bring in, I don't know, even if they bring in Big Sam. And to be fair, they've got Onuachu, who's 6'7", some ridiculous, who probably would work with Big Sam, just fire it up to him every week. Everton losing is good, but Leeds winning is annoying. As much as, if Leeds or Southampton are going to win, I suppose we'd all rather prefer Southampton to keep losing. West Ham pulling away as well. We've got 3 really tough games coming up. We pick up a point here. That doesn't pull us out of the relegation zone. We'd have to win to get out of the relegation zone. Obviously, none of us see that happening. But it's not just this game. It's not just playing Liverpool and Arsenal coming up. It's the ones after that. But still, if we get nothing from these next 3 games, we are in quite a serious risk of being cut adrift, and you really don't want to see that. So it's an absolutely these next 3 games, as much as I don't think many people are expecting us to get anything from them, it is a massive task if we don't get anything from those games. We need to try our best to pick up at least a point from, well, even one of the 3, getting a point from them would be great. But if we can pick up a draw from 2 of them, that'd be fantastic. Winning any of these 3 games will do so much to help boost confidence. And it's going to have to be something along those lines if we're going to stage, a proper escape and start pushing up the divisions. A division, rather. Yeah, exactly. We need to get something from these games to make sure that we're not cut adrift. As much as I would imagine they don't want to focus on it too much in the club and within, the Bournemouth team, those players will still be looking at the table, as will the manager. They'll still be looking at the table and thinking, what games have we got coming up that we're going to get points from? And these 3 they won't have earmarked anything for, but they'll need to, because the games before that they would have said we need to win that or we need to get points from here, we haven't done. We didn't beat Forest at home. We didn't get anything from Leeds away. We didn't, get anything more than a point against Newcastle. Just all these times where you think, no, we could do more, and we haven't. So it's about time that the team starts doing more than we would expect in order to sort of come back from the underperformances that we've had. since O'Neill's got the job permanently. Like Crystal Palace at home, things like that. Southampton at home, not picking up anything from those 2 games has just been massive. So, right. I'm still going to be having a little bit of commentary in my ears because I don't like listening to them with no sound at all. But kickoff's going to be happening soon. If you are going to stick around, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. I haven't asked you to hit the like button yet, but if you are sticking around, please do hit the like button. Anything at all, just to give us a little bit of a hand, because it helps this video and this channel. Just keeps us ticking along in the algorithm, as it were. Please do keep sending in your thoughts, sending in your questions, opinions, whatever it might be. I'm looking to give my thoughts on everything that you want me to. But that is kickoff. Let me just put in that it is 0-0. There we are. Within 30 seconds, we're on the defensive straight away. Ball into the box, headed back by Grealish. And 36 seconds gone, Man City have the first corner. Not exactly what we wouldn't have expected. But, them's the kind of things that we would expect to be happening from here. It's just about then, not conceding. Ball goes to the back post and Billing heads it away just to keep it off Rodri, who was coming in. And good pressure from Uatara, and Billing gives it a Bournemouth throw on the left-hand side. Yeah, I think high numbers of corners for Man City probably would have been a decent bet. I didn't put anything on this one. Tend to stay away from betting on Bournemouth games. So I just know it's never going to go well. It's never going to go well for me. I've got 2 reasons to feel disappointed. Adam Smith with a hoof upfield. I do wonder. So we got Rico Lewis, who is a very good young talent. You see immediately coming off from right back and just shifting himself into central midfield. How much pressure can we put on him on the left-hand side? Oh, that's a good win from Senesi. And the other one is obviously Aki on left back. Like Uatara going up against him is going to be quite an interesting one. Oh, that's a bit of a risk played at the back. Blimey, can we not do that too much, please? But in the end, we still have the ball, although Zamora's put that out for a throw-in. That was a little bit of a risk from Neto again. I do think Neto has been a little bit more wobbly recently, which has been concerning, but it's not too bad. Oh, good battling from Zamora, wins the ball off Foden along with Traore. Billing pushing up the field on the left-hand side to Traore. Plays it to Zamora, who puts it into the box. Oh, that almost fell. That almost fell for someone nicely, but now it's a Man City counter. Alvarez intercepted by Mepham, who gets it to Uatara, who then loses it to Gundogan. That chance was interesting, actually, because it almost fell to someone, but there was also a pretty clear push in the back from somebody. Or at least it looked like it from my camera angle, from the camera angle looking down. It looked like there was a certain amount of force going to someone's back, but that really could have fallen anywhere, which would have been a very interesting one. That is going to be where we create our chances. It's that counter-attacking work, and there was good stuff done by Traore and Zamora, and then Billing pushed it on. As I mentioned, in the when I was talking through this before the game started, it's Billing that's probably going to set off a lot of these counterattacks, and he received the ball and pushed and drove us forward. It's not going to be Lerma doing that. He's going to sit. He's got to look after Alvarez. He's got to keep an eye on Lewis as he tucks inside. A little bit awkward from Edison. Good work from Traore, winning it off Akanji. And good pressure, keeps the ball, gets us a throw in their third, which is a good start. Almost didn't recognise Coops then when he had his beanie on the sideline. Unfortunately losing out there, but never mind, that was always going to be difficult. Very crowded in that corner of the pitch. Yeah, Rico Lewis is going to be a difficult one to keep an eye on because he's doing what Pep really wants his fullbacks to do, or at least one of his two fullbacks at the very least, to just essentially become a central midfielder. That's what he was asking Bernardo Silva to do earlier on when he was trying a similar, when he was trying him at left back, or nominally at left back, but essentially he still plays a central midfielder. Big ball up the pitch. And yeah, Lerma heads that on, but Solanke would have been offside anyway, so he can't go for that. Oh, ball bouncing around a lot there in the middle of the park, but thankfully it falls to Bournemouth and it's played backwards. Traore, there, interestingly as well, Traore is coming very centrally. When the ball was, admittedly at the point that the ball was hit there, it was quite far on the right-hand side, but Traore is shifting from the left, quite central when the ball gets anywhere near the right-hand side of the pitch. That's where he would probably rather be operating, and I think that's where we want him to be, but he needs to still come left a little bit and provide a lot of pressure onto Rico Lewis. Need to see a little bit more from Ouattara today as well, I think. He needs to get the ball more often, but when he gets it, he needs to keep it better and provide the passes that we want him to, rather than just seemingly just whacking it half the time. Ball's now Foden on the right-hand side as he comes in field. Long shot from Rodri. Ooh, wasn't too far off, but high and wide really at the moment. Thought Sean, the biggest rider, was sitting deep, and like previous times you have more than one player pressing, so better start than I expected. Well, I mean, to be fair, I think they're taking the positivity that they have from the Wolves game, and to be fair, not just the Wolves game, the Newcastle game and the Forest game, we're unbeaten in 3. Our pressing has improved as much as I thought it was pretty terrible before those 3 games, particularly against Manchester United and Brighton, where it was shocking. Was it unbeaten in 3? Was Brighton in between? We're not unbeaten in 3. We're unbeaten in our last 2 home games. We're unbeaten in 3 out of the last 4 because Brighton was in between Forest and Newcastle. That was a brain fart there. But yeah, I think there's a decent amount of confidence that the team are taking. And there's no doubt that these players are far more capable of initiating a press after a little bit of coaching, but also just due to the general athleticism of Solanke, Ouattara and Traore, along with Lerma and Billing occasionally pushing up. Haaland with the ball into the box. Lerma cuts it out. Get rid of it, man. And hit longer by Zamora, but that's cut out. But good work from Jeff Lerma. David, good balance of pressing and dropping required so far. Yeah, for the most part, a little bit worried about the gaps that are forming between the in midfield at the moment. It's just a slight concern. Particularly because we've got our midfield too. There's Lerma and Billing going to have their work cut out for them today, but Mepham's pushing in to intercept well, which is good. And we're being aggressive, which I like to see. Ball over with Ake on the left-hand side. Cycled around. Back with Ake on the left, trying a 1-2, but Mepham getting stuck in. I'm liking that part of Mepham's game. And the thing is, I suppose what you can at least be confident in is that despite obviously having a very defensive formation and the fact that it is definitely a back five, because you've got the extra centre back in there, you've got the likes of Mepham can just push themselves on with whatever player they're tracking, because they have the typical back four behind them. Oh, Zamora just trying to dummy there and then there's a good foul from Traore to give away. So Mepham will push on and just he'll stick tight to Haaland when Haaland comes to that side. But when he's got a little bit of freedom like he has now, Stevens is the one that's marking Haaland. Mepham can just push into the space in front of him if he feels that there's going to be a pass there. Grealish taking on Smith. Smith getting his foot in the way, but it comes back to the middle, and Foden, 2 shots, both blocked by Stevens. Okay, over to Grealish on the right-hand side. Grealish against Smith again. Grealish comes inside. I thought he was going to shoot, but he passes it. Rodri gets intercepted by Ouattara, claiming handball, but not given. He's just played that. I wouldn't say it was the wrong idea. I just would like to have seen Ouattara just run with it a little bit more. He did seem to get it caught under his feet a little bit. And Mepham again being aggressive, annoying Alvarez, and then we lose the ball instantly. Lerma there giving the ball away unnecessarily. And Zamora intercepting that pass to Foden, which is good, but Foden still has it. So far, Grealish hasn't got the better of Smith yet, but there's only been 2 chances so far. We'll see what happens over the rest of the game. But 11 minutes and 18 seconds gone. It's been encouraging so far. I think by having this five men in defense, it really is going to be like Grealish, Smudger, follow him. Wherever he goes, just follow him over that right hand side. If he comes inside, then you're going to have to shuffle him off onto another player. But Foden, when he drops, Zamora, follow him. With the extra man, it just allows you to be a little bit more aggressive in the press. And there we press. Oh, dear Lerma. He had no one around him, and he trod on the ball and just gave it away to a Man City player. Oh, not had a good start, Lerma, on the ball. Unfortunately, that's given a poor pass away, and then he just trod on the ball and just let it leave him. Billing gets in the tackle and gets an interception. Philip Billing, I mean, admittedly, I'm not all over Twitter at all, but I think Philip Billing has been unbelievable the last few weeks. Like, we gave him so much crap in our final season in the Prem for just not putting in the work, and for a good period of the time in the Championship. And we've always thought, like, okay, so now he's a 10 because he can do everything and he's really good at being an attacker, but then he sort of helps out defensively. And then he was one of the attacking 8s for Parker, and he does a lot of attacking work, but he also helps out defensively. And now he's just in a midfield 2 with Lerma. We're back to the end of the Premier League sort of session, and yet he's doing even better than he's almost ever done before in his defensive numbers. And still, helps launch attacks really well as well. He makes up for the mistakes that Lerma is making. It's not the other way around. Lerma's been getting back to some of his best, but Billing has been ridiculous recently, I think. Ball over the top there. Stevens following Haaland really well. Oh, flipping El Neto. Did not like that at all, but he made it work. Blimey. I just think that the worst thing we can do is hold on to the ball too long at the back. It is the worst thing that we can do is just hold on to the ball at the back. So silly. I've seen comments of a goal already. I flipping out not. Gundogan on the ball, flicked into Foden and finished. Oh, they just need. We don't need them to be getting the luck. We don't need them to get luck, but there's 1-0, unfortunately. It'll be interesting to see if there is an offside in there with Alvarez. Let's update that. Lerma giving the ball away again. Or was it Traore? Okay, it was Traore that time. Oh, Senesi too deep, keeping Senesi onside. I didn't see an offside in there for Alvarez. I'd need to look at it again properly. Was it? Yeah, Traore instead. And no, I don't. I think Mepham unfortunately has dropped too deep. Not his fault at all. Oh, just huge slice of luck for it to bounce off the bar and fall to Alvarez. Because in the end, Neto gets a good tackle on Foden, and it falls to Haaland. Haaland shoots low, and it deflects up off a player. And rather than going out, we could have gone for a corner quite easily. Comes off the bar and falls to Alvarez. That's the little bit of luck that we're just not getting at the moment. We really aren't. And it's very frustrating. It was a good start as well. We weren't. But yeah, it really is so often the case that we're at our most vulnerable when we've got the ball. Really nice playing out from the back there, though. That's not a foul. Oh, referee's given a foul. I don't know what Adam Smith. I don't know how Adam Smith just keeps getting fouls given for him. Yeah, I'm watching it on a tablet, the Sky Go, Wayne. So yeah, I'm at least a minute behind. Yeah, about 60 seconds behind. David, it was lucky but defensive half force. Yeah, like I mentioned, it just so often seems to be the case that we're at our most vulnerable when we've got the ball at the back, and it's so unnecessary. That was Traore with a poor ball. At least David has told me that was Traore. I need to look at it again, but I think he was probably right. He had a second look at it. Traore tries to play a relatively easy pass to Zamora, messes it up, and then we're in a difficult position. Since then, though, we have pushed forward quite nicely, won a couple of good fouls, tried to get up the pitch. Traore again being in a good position, but not being able to put through the ball. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anywhere near offside. There were a couple of opportunities where it could have been offside, but in the end, everything worked in City's favour for that one. While it was also our own defensive error our own error on the ball that sort of caused it in the first place. There were a number of opportunities where it could have been offside, ball could have deflected out for a corner, and it just didn't. You said it, not me. Yeah, them's the breaks. And unfortunately, that's been the breaks for Bournemouth most of this season. Oh, good pressure here, though. We win the ball high up on the field, but we have to go all the way back. And Traore, again, an easy pass that, to be fair, we've still got it, but he was about 20 yards away from giving it to the person I think he was aiming for. And in the end, although we won the ball in their final third, we ended up having to go all the way back into our own defensive third. Man City now have the ball about 30 yards out with Gundogan. Rico Lewis taking up that central midfield position again. Perhaps, Ben, but I would also say that the ball just needs to get to the player as well. And if you play it too soft, you're only inviting the opposition to intercept. Haaland with the ball at the edge of the penalty area. Another great tackle from Mepham. Lerma passing it out to Solanke, who can't keep hold of the ball. That was to his feet. He's got to do better than that. As much as I do rate Solanke, he's got to keep hold of the ball better. That was a little bit silly to just lose the ball like that. You've got to give your defence a little bit of an opportunity to rest. Sofa scores momentum bar has literally nothing for Bournemouth at the moment, which is about right. But it's all in Man City's favour. Current statistics. Can I scroll down here, please? There we go. 73% possession for City. Haaland now on the ball. Deflected for a corner. Well done. One moving up to 2 corners. I mean, passing 212 to 80. They've almost tripled our passes already. 5 shots from inside the box within the first 20 minutes. Yeah. Not the greatest of starts. Wait, hold on. The banner's not up. There we go. And Ruben Diaz headed wide from the corner. That's a weird one. Diving header in that position. Billing doing good work, tracking back just in case. Ooh. Ake and Smith getting reacquainted. Neto hitting it first time, thankfully. Ooh, nice header from Traore to Solanke. Traore keeps the ball. 1-2 with Billing. Played through Traore, and he loses the ball. Oh, good work though there. Shame, I was hoping for a double rebound. Traore just feels at the moment just a player that's just almost entirely potential. Because you see that there's definitely got to be something there, but his passing hasn't been great. Hasn't held onto the ball all that well frequently. He looks like he's getting physically outmuscled in almost all of his. I remember against Wolves, he was basically outmuscled off the ball every time he got it. Oh, but that's better. There you go. I just need to jinx him. Through to Zamora. Zamora crosses the ball in straight to the keeper. That was a little bit better. But then Zamora, God, if he just gets that to the back post, Uwazara's completely free. But just as I've said every time, as we were saying every time, you've just got to make more of these opportunities to counter. Smith winning a free kick again. Who'd have thought? I mean, he was. But definitely make sure there's contact. That's one thing Smith always makes sure that there is contact. Someone tell Troy that's not tell if he wants to play for a team he's actually heard of. Isn't that more Zaniolo needs to? That's more something to say for Zaniolo, I would say. Although obviously he never signed for us, but you know what I mean. Senesi trying to push it through, and ooh, for a second that looked awkward. Thought that might have gone out, but the keeper didn't carry it over the line, seemingly. And Man City were back in our half. Foden one-on-one with Zamora. Rico Lewis free on the right. Billing getting closer to him. You've got Solanke now left mid, seemingly. Yeah, I'm just trying to work out how those front three sort of changed the way they were looking there for a second. Ball forward, no, up you get. That's Senesi. Ball forward to Uatara, who has gone over rather easily. I think he's brought play to a stop there. Yeah, that didn't look like a foul to me. Referee stopped play though, and it's carried on now. So I was up again. Grealish on the ball over on the left. Then back to Diaz. And again, got to pick up Met for being aggressive and sticking close to his man. Much better from Solanke there, up until the point where, no, he's still got it somehow. He plays it through to Zamora, who's looking for options further forward, but they aren't there. He gets it to Solanke. Solanke keeps going. Traore just goes for the shot. Maybe should have had a look and seen what was around him. Solanke did go into the box, but I think he just pushes. No, yeah, I think that's a little bit too much, just of a jumble of bodies. Yeah, I don't think that was much better from Dom. It was me complaining again about the fact that he doesn't keep hold of the ball, and then he does manage to just do what we've realised he can do, and just somehow get it away from about 20 pairs of legs. Really good work there from Stevens to intercept a through ball that Haaland was in on. You could see Neto was pulling out of the goal to try and intercept it, but thankfully he didn't need to worry about that. Traore taking on his man, and Solanke doing well there. Oh, that looked like a good position, but there was an offside. I think Iwatara was off and he was coming back from an offside position. Or Solanke. Was that Solanke? Or no, it was Solanke. That's careless. That's really careless from Solanke. He just kept walking, just assuming he'd be onside, but no. But that was another opportunity to push to counter, and just a little bit of a mistake. The ball from Traore wasn't great, but Solanke made the most of it, but he was offside. Oh, more good pressure from Bournemouth, winning the ball high at the pitch. Zamora on the ball, gives it to Stevens, who pushes it around to Lerma. Zamora goes out of play, but for Bournemouth throw. I've just got spoiled by SofaScore, and Wayne is confirming 2-0. I've just got to wait for that to come up on my screen now, which is particularly galling when Bournemouth are on the attack and things look good. Ball's now with the Man City goalkeeper, and I'm wondering how quickly is this going to end up in the opposition goal? It's the problem watching on something that's behind. You know what's coming. You've just got to wait for it to happen. (28-20), still with Man City at the back. Ake ball forward to Gundogan on the left-hand side. Gundogan crosses the ball in, and Foden doesn't get it, but Haaland does. Zamora falls asleep a little bit there. And that's 2-0. So this is the weakness of Mepham being so aggressive. He's caught out by Gundogan's run here. Zamora is also, I think, a little bit slow to really actually track back enough at all. Because in the end, Foden is really comfortably in front of Zamora there, to be honest. Although Foden doesn't put it in the back of the net, he does push it across to Haaland, who can't miss. That was so in that instance, I mentioned this was an instance where, unfortunately, I think Mepham's aggressiveness at sort of waiting to want to push onto an intercepted pass, unfortunately, sort of ends up working against him. Because what you'll see is that Gundogan makes the run in behind him, and Mepham isn't sort of clued onto it at the moment that it happens. The ball ends up going in behind, and Mepham's not able to get in contact with Gundogan to prevent the cross. Unfortunately, Zamora has switched off a little bit as well, and has not got himself in front of Foden, which is frustrating. And then again, kind of a bit of luck though, because here Foden doesn't get the connection he wants, but he does push it straight into the path of Haaland. Now, admittedly, I don't know whether Foden is attempting to push that back to Haaland or not, or whether he's trying to stub that into the goal. Either way, it ends up at the foot of the most lethal striker in the Prem, who smashes it in the back of the net. He doesn't need the second opportunity. Actually, I'm not playing like they did against Forest. It just shows you need the luck. Yeah, without a doubt, you need that bit of luck. And again, 2 times here, you can certainly argue that Man City have had their little bit of luck to make sure that they get those goals. This was always going to be a game where we need to make sure that we're keeping a clean sheet above, doing our best to keep a clean sheet above all else, and maybe getting something on the counter. Although our attacking pressing has been pretty good. Free kick just goes in, goes out of play from Man City. I do think our pressing has actually been pretty good. We've actually won the ball quite high up the pitch a few times against City. But then their counter press pushes against us very quickly and very efficiently, and we almost always have to go backwards. Ball's now with Solanke up the pitch. Gets it to Zamora. Zamora with a foot. No. He turns inside from Lewis, plays a nice back heel to Traore. Traore puts it in the box. Billing on the edge of the box. Lerma with the wild shot. I feel as if that was inches away from someone who almost had this in the box. Oh no, it was a good clear header actually by Akanji. Try to put a decent ball into the box, but a low diving header from Akanji heads it away from who I think it might have been Solanke coming onto that. Now it's damage control. Yeah, it's one of those. I do think that we could still get a goal in this game, though. The problem is how many we concede in going for that goal. We've won the ball high up the pitch again. But there, is that Lerma? Traore? Ouattara? Ouattara. Ouattara has the ball there. It takes about an age to actually decide what he wants to do with it and loses the ball. And you can't be doing that. Solanke had made the run that he needed to get himself out so he can receive it. And just lost the ball after getting tangled out with his legs, and he got pressure on him. Saw Billing there. I've got excited. Saw them moving onto it. Was less. Yeah, that is. You want that the other way around, don't you? You do want Lerma laying that off to Billing from outside the area. Lerma has scored some belters in his time, but you are far more likely to see that leave the ground than you are for it to hit the back of the net if it's Lerma. Just short of 34 minutes gone, 2-0 down. yeah, it's going to be a tough hour for a lot of these players. I wouldn't say we've been terrible. But unfortunately, this is just the nature of playing Manchester City. We have taken a few risks with the ball at the back, I feel, which is not something I'd encourage. And the first goal comes from us losing the ball in our own half. But it has been pretty ruthless from Man City. They haven't really made too many chances, but the two golden ones they've made, they've put away, both of which have been essentially tap-ins. Ball up from Neto. No, bit of moving around, but it falls to Grealish, who's got quite a bit of time. Plays it through to Haaland. Great tackle from Traore there. Solanke moves on to the ball, taking on Akanji, which he does, gets past him once. And Akanji puts out for a corner. Great play from Solanke. That's what we love to see. I don't know. Position it was on the pitch. That was never going to be given as a yellow card. I don't think. I can see in a different game it could have been, but I just don't think it will be. Alex, we move the ball quick. We're getting into good positions. Yeah, there's definitely an element of that. I think when corner coming in, Lerma at the back, falls to Mepham. Can't quite turn it into a decent opportunity. Smith launches it back in. Mepham trying to get on that again. Doesn't quite do so. Now Grealish on the ball. This is where you worry about counters. Haaland on the ball, pushes it to Foden on the right-hand side. One-on-one with Zamora. Zamora holds him up pretty well, and then Traore wins the ball back with him. Does really well there. Traore gives it to Smith, who's pushing past the halfway line. Plays that through to Ouattara. Ouattara on the ball. Takes too long to put the cross in. Pulls it back to Smith. And Smith shoots, maybe? I'm not sure whether that's a shot or not. But it deflects off... Ouattara's onside. Smith's shot deflects off Diaz, I think, and goes out for a corner. Smith, one of his rare forays forward, and he gets us a corner. Traore to put the ball in from the right-hand side. Long to Lerma, who gets a header. Goes down to Stevens, who's waiting for support. Gets it to Zamora. Zamora gives it back to Stevens. Stevens with the ball in the box. Decent cross. And another ball in. It gets punched out by the keeper. That's interesting. I don't know whether he's trying to shoot here or not. Solanke sort of flicks that on. Traore is coming onto it. And I think that may have gone out before the keeper hit it, but corner played short this time to Billing. Billing with shoot cross, but it ends going down the keeper's throat. One of those ones where you hope for a deflection, any kind of touch, or for it to just be an awkward position, but hoping the keeper, if the keeper drops that, then, there's a tap-in. But unfortunately, it was good goalkeeping. I mean, God, when you compare this to our game, the reverse fixture, we've done more. We did more in 20 minutes than we did in an hour against City. Admittedly, I think that's our first shot on target from Billing just then. In the 38th minute. Suddenly, Bournemouth have got a massive growth on the momentum bar. Maybe you should phrase that differently next time. Actually having a period of domination of the game just in the last couple of minutes. not for very long, and we didn't produce a goal from it. But it's doing more. However, that was our first shot on target of the game so far. Taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots, 6 shots, 2 blocked, 3 off target, 1 on target. But yeah, that's more than we did in an entire 90 minutes against Man City when we went to the Etihad. Traore against Lewis was going to be a matchup that we need to see Traore try and make more of. In that situation, going up against a player that he will be able to outmuscle in Lewis. But he then needs to, when he was given the ball in a situation that just happened there, he needs to then take that and do something with it. But unfortunately, he lost the ball almost immediately. I need to drink more water. I'm going to be losing my voice very soon. I can already feel it starting to go. Commentators there talking about how Man City's went to the South Coast last time. They went to the South Coast. They went to Southampton in the Cup and lost, but they played terribly. It's a shame they couldn't do that today. John, maybe the best we played, but can't we play better in games weekend? I wouldn't say this is necessarily the best we played. I'd say this is very good. I'd say in terms of an all-round performance, I think this is pretty strong. But Foden pushing forward on the right-hand side. Zamora gave him too much space. Oh, Alvarez header straight into the keeper's arms. That was a really good opportunity. I'd certainly say this is probably the best we've played against the Big Six. Well, actually, to be fair, we were 2-0 up against Tottenham Hotspur. But I'd say that this is showing what we can do. And we've got this game, we've got the Arsenal game, and then we've got the Liverpool game to really build on our new counter-attack heavy style. Because we're going to need to make more of these chances that we're creating. Because as much as there have been opportunities to shoot, opportunities to create something, our only shot on target so far was one from range by Billing. Oh, nice work from Senesi into Solanke. Oh, he tries to turn 2 defenders in one. Doesn't quite work out, and Akanji's there to pick that up. But that was very close. Look forward to seeing a replay of this. Solanke takes the ball there. Oh, it's Ruben Diaz that. Oh, no, it's Rico Lewis on the cover. But yes, it just takes a little nick off Diaz. If Diaz doesn't get a touch on that, Solanke's in 1-on-1. I mean, that's certainly true, but I would say that the chances that we've made in this game have all come from us winning the ball high up the pitch. We haven't so much had to counter from deep. We've been battling away and trying to win the ball high up the pitch. That's where we've been winning the ball well. We actually haven't really countered from deep almost at all this game, apart from maybe once or twice. There was our first ball into the box from Zamora quite early on in the game with a counter through winning the ball, getting to Billing to Traore to Zamora. That was the deepest I think we countered from, and that was on our own 50-yard line-ish. Come on, Wayne, you know I'm a minute and a half behind. Let's not spoil us on every single goal. As much as I said in the preamble, you'll know before I know, and you'll probably tell me. You don't have to tell me. You can keep it as a surprise. to go in 3-0 down, if we are going to be going in 3-0 down, that's a bit of a piss take. This game we have not been worthy of conceding. I don't think we've been really worthy of conceding 2, to be honest, let alone 3. 44 minutes on the clock's just gone. Balls with Neto. Now we've got Billing. Oh, Billing! No! Oh, all the praise I gave Phil Bill. Oh, he's just undone it. Oh. That's frustrating. That's really silly from Billing. Why is Senesi? Oh dear. It's not. I don't know why Senesi's weirdly at right centre back there, and Billing plays. I mean, you just never play that. You just never play that. Oh dear. Yeah, we don't. That's frustrating. That's really frustrating because it's. I really don't think we've been necessarily worthy of being 3-0 down. It's not been. You know, there've been a number of chances. Although there haven't been all that many chances for Man City as halftime just gone for me. There's not been a huge number of chances for City. They've had, they've made the most of what they've had. We gave them the third goal. Look at the first goal, them winning the ball from a poor pass from Traore to Zamora, or maybe just an under-hit pass from Traore to Zamora. But even in that, we were taught. I was mentioning first goal. They push well through it. Ball comes to. I think it's got to try and remember now. It was ball comes through to Haaland in one regard. I think from a cross. Haaland shoots. No, Foden shoots. Deflects off. No, hang on. Finally remembered. Foden ends up going through 1-on-1 with the keeper because he just about gets past Zamora. Neto flicks the ball. He wins. He gets his foot in the way to win that flick. Ball could have gone anywhere. Drops to Haaland. Haaland takes a shot. Ends up deflecting off. I think Stevens has thrown himself in the way of the tackle. Deflects off Stevens. Bounces up. Hits the crossbar. Drops down to. Could have gone anywhere. Could have gone out. Could have gone to the keeper, drops down to Alvarez, and he taps it in for a 1-0. Second goal, that one I think we can look at more in terms of not working hard enough defensively. Mepham's caught out by the run from Gundogan, who puts it in behind. Gundogan's cross, Zamora's caught out. He's not in front of the Foden where he needs to be. He's just not switched onto it at all, unfortunately. But Foden doesn't get a clean contact with it. He's probably trying to shoot. In the end, he studs it back across goal to Haaland. Whether he meant to do that or whether he meant to shoot and it didn't go well, only he can know. But it goes straight to Haaland and he puts it in the back of the net for 2. For the third goal, well, we just gave it to him. Just unfortunately, Billing has just had an absolute brain fart and played a horrendous ball across his own box. Foden's got in the way of it because it's not going to anyone. It's not going to Stevens. It's not making its way to Zamora. Foden's got there and he's put in the back of the net. And 2-0 would have been very, very difficult to come back from. 3-0, it's not happening. It's well and truly game over now, unfortunately, at half-time. At 2-0, I think there would have been some positives to sort of say, look, let's do more of the good stuff and let's hope we get our bit of luck. At 3-0, it's okay, let's just not make this embarrassing. I believe it was 3-0 at halftime in the reverse, if I remember correctly. Yes, it was 3-0 at halftime in the reverse, if I remember. And then Man City kind of just completely took their foot off the gas and just coasted to what turned out to be a 4-0 win in the end. Yeah, that's frustrating. Paul, happy with some of the play, but individual mistakes need to stop. Yeah, that's it. You know, there was enough. There's always going to be mistakes that lead to a goal. You can very rarely look at the defense and say the defense did everything right, and yet the attackers still scored. Man City got their luck for the first. Too many players switched off for the second, and the third one was horrific from Billing, unfortunately, who I sang the praises of earlier on, who I think has been incredible for us for a while, particularly in the last few games. But that was really poor from Billing. City just had luck but taking it. But that's why I said the opportunity we have, we can't afford to waste. Like Wolves. I mean, we haven't had quite the chances like we did against Wolves. And against Wolves, things broke down far quicker. Against Wolves, things were breaking down before we got anywhere near their box. In this game, we were actually getting good crosses into the box. We're actually getting touches in the opposition penalty area. I'm wondering if that is a stat that SofaScore is actually able to provide, touches in opposition penalty area. No. I don't think Live Optastats does that either. Does Fotmon give me this? Well, actually, to be fair, will give me individuals who have had touches in opposition penalty area, I think. Will it? Touches. Dribble part. No, it doesn't. But I know Slanky's the odd has had a few touches. Traore's had a good few touches in the opposition penalty area. Billing, no. Lerma, a couple headers. Uwatara, no. I still need to see more from Uwatara. If you look at Uwatara, if I throw this up, sorry, I've had that up on screen for a little bit too long. Ben FBref, yes, but unfortunately it won't do it live. You'll only be able to get that after the game. Can I zoom this in at all? If I just take this down for the time being. Got Solanke, the odd little bit of action within the opposition penalty area, but you see how most of these touches are coming on the halfway line. The vast majority of them are sort of within the space of the halfway line, a little bit deeper. Need to get him a little bit more involved when we're attacking. Uwatara, again, just mostly on the right here. Quite a few touches in more sort of defensive actions and at the start of a counter, but then no touches in the box. One on the edge here, one over here. Not being involved enough, Uwatara. And that does come from the fact that Adam Smith doesn't push up very much as well. I do honestly believe that Uwatara has to do far more work. In the same way Tavernier has very much normally had to do far more work than other wingers. Because he doesn't have the support of the fullback. Whereas if we look at Traore, okay, you know, there's less impact over here, or there's still a decent amount of impact over on this left-hand side. But you see how there's a significant number of touches on the left-hand side in their attacking areas down the side of the pitch. And this is where we've actually won the ball by pressing high quite often. Pressing high, we've actually won the ball off the likes of Lewis Akanji, even occasionally in midfield. In decent areas, it's just then turning that winning the ball in a high area into an attack quickly, which is very difficult to do against a team like City who are trained to counter-press very aggressively. It's all good and well winning the ball there. The problem is as soon as we win the ball, all of the Man City players on that side surround you. And you basically have no choice but to go backwards. That's an incredible thing to have a plan to work around when your opposition is so incredibly, effective at initiating a counter press. Billing has actually not had that many touches, to be fair. In terms of that touch map, it's more sort of support and a little more all over the place. Lerma's far more concentrated. Lerma's winning the ball in these defensive areas, being frustrating, playing 1-2s, trying to disrupt, and that's why he's got the highest rating in the team at the moment, 6.7, joint with Traore. He's having more touches of the ball, he's having more passes, simple passes, but he's playing more passes. Billing, let's not talk about that third goal. Yeah, frustrating, very, very frustrating. Let's have a look at some comments. Hello, thanks for joining us, Phoenix. I think I'm as bored of playing City as they are playing us. I mean, I don't even know how this got on the telly, to be honest. It's when one team has won 3 points off another every single game that they've ever played in the Premier League, you would have thought that's one-sided enough that we don't bother putting on the telly. Wing, I really don't like how Gary will approach things when things seem to be getting better. We're not trying to go ahead instead of setting stall out to defend to the tired players. Love that. But again, I would say that I disagree with that. In terms of we are setting up in a more defensive stance. Yes. No qualms. We are setting up in a way that is more designed to try and defend first and then attack second. But to not do that is taking more of a risk or being on the verge of being naive. I don't disregard your opinion at all. I think I totally understand the fact that you'd think that Bournemouth actually would have been a lot better. Even Brighton wasn't too bad. 1-1 against Nottingham was harsh on us. 1-1 against Newcastle was maybe a bit harsh on us. And then we obviously beat Wolves. But it's a different beast entirely when you're playing Man City. And you only need to look at our recent record against them to look otherwise. And we have won the ball up the pitch really well. We've actually produced quite a lot of high turnovers. We've then not done enough with those high turnovers. I wouldn't be surprised if we score in this game. As much as I do think we'll sit back maybe, more than a lot of us would like to in this game for the second half. It's not like the counter-attacking chances are going to disappear. The counter-attacking chances will still be there. We just need to try and not concede again and make this embarrassing. Sean, I'm just listening to a bit of TV content basically saying we're rubbish and this is why I don't. To a point, I would say that there have been games where I think commentators have been biased for us at times. I cannot remember which game it was in the Championship. Was it Luton? Was it? Because obviously, when AFCB TV were able to provide commentary, were able to provide live matches for however long. Admittedly, this was after the stadium had opened back up again. Was it Willow? Was just I can't remember who we were playing. Coventry, Luton. We were playing a game and we were I think we were 2-0 down, 3-2, 3-1 down, or something like that. And Willow was basically just saying the other team was nothing much and Bournemouth were looking really good. And he was completely wrong. There's bias. There's a lot of bias all over the top, all over everyone's opinions. I think we've been good, but to be fair, we haven't been that good. If we were, we wouldn't be 3-0 down. We've been okay. It's just not great. Wing saying I think we're not going to show. I think we've been okay. I don't think we've been terrible. I don't think we've been great. But, Ben, more touches on the left is great support from Jay-Z. I suppose he's tapping around the corner rather than getting it straight in. A little bit of that, yep. But that's what I was saying before, Ben, is that Ouattara is not getting enough support from Smith. Whereas on the left-hand side, Zamora backs up Traore a lot more. He's got less he's got less to worry about in terms of he's going to have the support of higher up the pitch. If we're going to, Donna, if we're going to attack, we need to finish better with the ground Dave for the next 3 or 4 games. You can say finish better. We need to take shots before you can finish better. With Ted, what's the stats on our shots? 6 shots total. Actually, when I actually put this up on the screen, when I'm looking at things like this, it would be better to actually show you what I'm looking at. Total shots, 6 total, 1 on target, which was from Billing from outside the box, 3 off target, 2 blocked. Let's have a look. Where were we? Smith. Oh, that shot from Smith. I'm not even sure that was a shot, to be honest. That deflected for a corner. Traore. That I don't know what he's shooting from there for. He had 2 men in front of him. Lerma shot. Hold on, what? No, that's the Lerma shot I'm thinking of. When did Lerma take a shot that almost went for a goal? That almost went for a throw-in? 38. That's probably a header. And then Solanke, another one that apparently was going out closer to the corner flag than the goal. I don't remember that one. That's another one on 38. 38. I think that was from the scramble in the box from a corner, possibly. But yeah, in order to have good finish, in order to work on the finishing, I think we need to actually take some shots first, which we're not really doing. Ben, Smudge won't be as far forward as often, so let's touch in the corner, moving it central quicker. Is this with regard to Uatara? I do think it's more just sort of like Uatara just doesn't get the ball enough, and that's partly due to Smith. Smith just doesn't get forward as much. It's not necessarily even Smith getting forward as much. Smith doesn't look to pass forward as much as almost every other defender we've got. It's the amount of times Smith will receive the ball on the right-hand side, look up, and then just turn back. And that's half the reason why Utara doesn't get involved enough in games. I don't blame Smith quite so much. He's older. He's more defensively minded. I was going to take a quick break and then realised I've been chatting away and the players are already back out on the pitch. So, silly from me. Good thing I don't need the loo. But I do need a drink. Well, what's the time? 6:30. Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be kick-off in a minute. Sean thought we would not try to counter, but we have. So the performance I'm much happier with, but it's the goal of the match at this stage. Yeah, but I think that's something I think a lot of us can agree on. What I would say is that it's not like we weren't going to really struggle in this game. I think I mentioned before the match, I could see this easily being 2 or 3-0. I was hoping that we wouldn't be 3-0 down at half time, but I was thinking like even if it was say 4. As long as we were doing more of the things right that we want to do, as long as we look like we're producing chances. Kickoff's about to. We've got to get a kickoff. As long as we're sort of pushing on in the way that we want to, I'm not overly worried about losing this game. And I do think that there are positives to look at in the performance. But we do want to see more than just a good performance if we're going to be getting out of the position that we're in. If we're sitting deep, we're asking for trouble as much as possible around it. So we should press them more. Yeah, I agree. But unfortunately, it's a bit late now. Unfortunately, yeah, that's what I thought. We don't have loads of matches like City and should have more courage. You say that. Let's not forget. What was it? Ooh. Let's not forget what was it? The 2-0 loss at home when we didn't even produce a shot. Like it wasn't even a shot on target. It was a shot off target. Literally didn't produce a shot in 90 minutes. Ouattara against Ake. Ake wins and hits it off Ouattara. I know that Eddie was fantastic, but he was also so gung-ho that, we saw a lot of thrashings against us because we just couldn't defend to save our skin for long periods. Yeah, exactly. I realised I haven't really been looking at the match. I'm still looking at people's comments. Keep the conversation coming. I just need to actually see what's going on in the game. Oh, Grealish just got taken out. That's fun. Sean, I'm so worried about our confidence. Whereas knew we'd be lucky to get anything from 3 games, but to play good, but be well beaten. I disagree. I don't really think that that's so much of an issue. Particularly, we lost 9-0 against Liverpool. We then went on an unbeaten streak of 6 or 7 games. I don't think that really matters in the slightest. Not that I don't understand your concern, but I also think that the players aren't that stupid. We've had 4 pretty darn good performances over the last 4 games. Forest, Brighton, Brighton wasn't amazing, but it was a lot better than what we had seen. Newcastle and then Wolves. That doesn't get wiped out by losing to City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. City and Arsenal, yeah. Liverpool, we need to do a lot better with that. A ball into the box, almost gets through. No, it's still with them. Alvarez pushes it back, and Zamora whacks it clear. Wait, what? Wait, hold on. What? So an offside flag just went up for I'm not sure what. Wait, where was the offside? An offside decision was just made when Bournemouth were on the counter attack. We were just in a 2v2, and then an offside flag was given for a decision that there wasn't an offside for. What the hell was that? That was weird. Great stuff here, Tommy. So I don't know what brimming means. Not having anyone brimming. There's a thumbs up, so I'm appreciate the confidence. I don't know what brimming means. When everyone in Grealish wore shin pads, he wouldn't roll around so much. He needs a pair of Sonic. Man City on the attack again. Foden with a crossing for the right hand side, cleared by Mepham. Back to City. Ball's back out to Foden on the right hand side again. Rico Lewis, Akanji almost in his opposition penalty area. A lot of smooth passing around. Rico Lewis on the right, crosses. Stevens managed to cut it out. Zamora a little bit late, but it's getting there. Then it's fired in, and it's a goal. Ah, dear. That just didn't look very good at all for long periods. Zamora a little bit asleep, I think. Ball ends up just with Alvarez, and I think that's an own goal. Just really, yeah, that's an own goal. Just more luck, just not going for us. Mepham, Alvarez just smacks his foot at it. It's going about 3 feet wide, and it ends up going off. Mepham and goes in. Yeah, not the best Wayne, unfortunately. I don't know why I do these watch-alongs. I don't think I've got anything positive out of any of these. Yeah, but the approach at the start is negative. We're going one way. If we get ahead, then we can just counter a second. We did that with Eddie. 3-0, 4-0 against Chelsea. Yeah, but I mean, you need things to be going your way, and you need things to be. Those Chelsea games. Let's face it. Those Chelsea teams were not that good. They didn't play well. For a team like Bournemouth, let's not forget, we're a newly promoted team with one of the worst squads in the league. Even if we very much improved after January, we're still one of the worst squads in the league. I don't think any Bournemouth fan could arguably deny this. We're going against Man City, coached by one of the greatest managers in the modern history, playing the kind of football we could only dream of. And if they play well, there's not much you can do. Eddie's first attempt to get anything out of Man City, we lost 5-1. I was there. That one was very lucky. And we got absolutely destroyed. It's just one of those things. And even today, as mentioned, in that own goal, in the first goal, as much as we gave them the third, we also haven't had our luck today either. You need things to go your way. You can't approach this in the same way you would, I don't know, FIFA, and just say, that's all right, I'll just play my usual game and I'll just have to defend better. And unfortunately, I'd love it to be that easy, but it's just not. And Man City have played decently well. Admittedly, I don't think they've got much out of third. But when they've wanted to apply the pressure, they've just gone at it. Doesn't help when one of the goals is an own goal. But even here, Man City are just playing it around us casually. We're finding it really difficult to get anywhere near them. And if they want to just turn it on like that, they can. Another great ball over the top. Not very good control. Ball's back with them at the back. Back a handful from the chest. Something to cancel one of them out. They're out of first gear. You have been watching the player, some of the passing they've been putting in this last bit. Admittedly, first half, no, they weren't. First half, they didn't really need to do all that much. Second half, this passing around us, they've been passing around traffic cones. And that's not first gear. That's them being very, very good at what they're trying to do. First half, admittedly, yes, they weren't really outstanding. But they got their luck, and we didn't. There's so many variables that go into this, and you can blame the players, you can blame the manager all you like. This is the second team versus the ninth. This is the team that's second versus the team in 19th. We can try all we like. If we don't get things going our way, it's just going to be a bad day. I don't see why we need to argue about any of this. It's just we've not been amazing. I didn't say we have been. They haven't been incredible, but them in second is better than us in fourth. And we've not hit third. They've barely got out of second. Mixing my analogies in some ways, I'm sure here. We did press from the front. I think you'll see if we look back over the first half, we won the ball off them in their third a lot. Compared to what we have been doing against every other team that we've played in the top six this season, this is the most aggressive we've been. We weren't this aggressive. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. We were this aggressive against Man United, but we were terrible at it. We've actually been quite successful at winning the ball high up the pitch against this Man City team. We just haven't done enough with it because it's difficult to do. Sometimes you have to. You can't press them at every opportunity. They're too good for that. They're too good for that. Sometimes have too many defenders in the box. No one who's speaking up. Yeah, I think you can. I think you definitely can. And I think I think we've made this mistake. I think we've definitely made this mistake in the past. I think we do it. I think you've seen this from Bournemouth a lot. is that it's all going to well have having 5 defenders. The problem is the midfield. If you just let them win the midfield battle by having 2 central midfielders, and that's it in terms of here we've got Lerma and Billing. If you put another person in there, it makes things a lot more difficult for them to build up. But then they might use the wide area as well, but that's fine. As long as you push them out wide, that's a lot better. But yeah, I do agree. I think you can have. I think a 4-5-1 is probably better. But that was nearly finally getting across into the box there from Zamora. But then you've got to worry about the counter. Is the setup, and that is what we got now. Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to look in hindsight. I actually think that we've been far more aggressive in this game and have pressed better than we have in pretty much any game that we played against the top 6. And I would separate, and I do think you should do this, separate the way that we set up against the top 6 sides versus everyone else. Newcastle's starting to become one of that group, obviously. But if you just look at how we played against most of the teams outside of the top 6, I would prefer us to be more aggressive in those games as well. But against Liverpool, we were awful. We didn't press high at the pitch at all. Against Man City, we sat back in our own box for 90 minutes. Against Man United, we tried to press, but we were terrible at it. Against Tottenham, we started well, but then when we eased off, it all went to shit. Against Arsenal, to be honest, that game has disappeared from my memory for the most part because the second half was so forgettable. Wasn't great in that game either. Proper coordination and running like hedges, but that is the set of a manager. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that Manchester United, we were like that. We were headless chickens against Man United. I don't think that that's been the case today. The fact that we have actually won the ball high at the pitch means that that's definitely not the case today. It's not been perfect. I don't think we've been brilliant today. I don't think we've been much more than okay. But I do think that just to say that we should be doing more of the good things, whilst your opinion is totally correct, and that is partly management, that's partly players. Yeah, we could do more good things. Should we rest Solanke now? Probably not. I think I'd rather have him trying to gain some sort of cohesion with Ouattara and Traore, which is you can get more practice and get more familiarity, I think, when you're in a game rather than just in practice situations. Ake, that would have been something for him to score. Good shot from range. Trying to counter Ouattara, has got the ball and stay up. Good man. Ouattara on the ball, right side of the box. Can he deliver a cross? That's poor from Ouattara. He does well up to a point, and then it's just too easy for Akanji to just push him to the side. He just hands him off. I also love the championship. 30-70 was always the dream. Where are we down until 5 games time? Yeah, I think it's easier for you to get to a lot of games as well, and to be fair for me as well, Ben. Us being further north, Man City countering again. They've got another corner. I think this could be progressive grabs. Ryan for Smudge, Joe for Phil. Oh yeah, completely missed the. I'm just looking at this. I'm looking at chat so much that I've completely missed the substitutions. Thankfully, I haven't missed a goal yet. Did see, Smudge coming off and Billing coming off. Frederiksen Rothwell doesn't change the formation at all. I would like to see Fredericks getting more game time now. I've been very down on Fredericks. I've been really not a fan of Fredericks really getting any game time. But I think when he came on against Forest, Forest. When he came on against Forest, I actually thought he did quite well, and unfortunately, then we obviously conceded. And I do think that Smudge we need a bit more support on the right hand side for Uwadhara. Rested after a month out injured. Oh, for Solanke. Ben, games like these don't define our season, but we need something after these games. I do feel for us. Yeah, I agree. I think Traore there was on the counter and then got upended by, or was it Solanke? Was on the counter and Akanji just absolutely wiped him out. Ooh, that's a really silly tackle. It's easiest yellow you'll see all year. If his foot goes any higher, it's a red. Wing, no, I can't agree. We have a worse squad now than we had when we first got promoted. That's not what I said. I said we are one of the weakest squads in the division. We were under Eddie as well. I'm not arguing that Eddie isn't a better manager than O'Neill. Eddie wasn't a fantastic manager. He was an incredible coach. He's now become an incredible manager. But Eddie's way better than we've had before or since we'll ever have. But Eddie was able to make the most out of the squad that he had. O'Neill is something of a limiting factor in this squad, but at least he's finally developed a kind of plan. We also, actually, to be fair, no, we didn't have the best luck with injuries with Eddie, did we, in that first season? Wilson got injured early, but we did have Josh King to replace him. When we lose Solanke, Moore wasn't the most apt replacement. Semenyo now is better. I do think this squad overall is definitely better than the one we came up with last time, but it's also 7-8 years later. The Premier League has changed in that time. It's just not, you're just not quite able to do the same as what you did last time. We've still got one of the worst squads in the division. Not that we don't have a decent squad. It's still one of the worst in the division. Sure. Oh, actually, Bournemouth are on an attack. Traore. Oh, good. Nice got past Lewis. Traore on the left side of the box. Puts in a... Oh, dear. Traore trying to put in a cross, but unfortunately rather messed it up. But Senesi on the ball, pushing forward, gets it through to Solanke, and Solanke gets a corner off Rico Lewis. So at the beginning of the season, I wasn't fussed to be set up on that. Nothing has changed. Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, if that's your opinion, then you don't really need to worry too much. That's because different squad plus the squad we're used to winning, having progressive tier 4. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it, certainly. I do think it's just the Premier League is also very different 7 or 8 years later. Ball into the box. Lerma on the ball. It comes off Mepham, who gets in the way of his teammate's shot. So Solanke, there's a handball call. That was really weird and messy. A scramble in the box there. Traore back on the ball. On the left-hand side. Winning that battle. Puts the ball in the box. Stevens heads it out for a goal kick. Mepham got bad luck there. There was a good header from Lerma. I think it was going wide, but he heads it straight into his teammate in Mepham. Yeah, that was weird. Diaz just on the ball, on the floor there. Solanke, yeah, there's fans calling for a handball, but it's no one's anywhere near that hitting their hand. Anyone else? How many is out for? I don't know. I don't think O'Neill said how long he would be out for. I think it was just that you won't be free this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back next week. But I don't know exactly what the issue was either. I'd need to look at it again. I think Dango's been used to. I think he's still got a lot to improve on. Personally, I think I will. I'm trying to keep an eye on 2 things at once, so I'm sure there will be things that I've missed. But I do think that Dango, like Hamad, definitely both got things to improve on in terms of just being more physical, being more able to keep hold of the ball. Their passing needs a bit of work, but Dango Ouattara definitely needs more support, which he's not going to get from Smith. So, but it's a difficult game today as well. I don't really want to judge too many of the players off of today's game. There will be criticisms to have. There will be things to look at in terms of the failings of the failings of the setup and the failings of individuals, because there were clearly failings all around if you're 4-0 down. But I don't know. I think I like Ouattara, and I think there's definitely more to come from him. I just don't think today has been a great game for him either, but then it hasn't really been great for most of them. This is as bad as winning 1 in 14 games sometimes. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that is, as I mentioned, I think O'Neill's the limiting factor in this, in many aspects of this squad. He definitely hasn't been good enough. That's why there's been so much call for him to be sacked. Fredericks just loses out. And that's what I don't like about Fredericks. Fredericks tries to be Grealish one-on-one, fails, and then just falls to the ground. You weren't tackled. You weren't even touched. Why are you on the floor? Yeah, as I mentioned, Wing, and I think there's a lot of people have been saying they don't want O'Neill anymore, because there's issues with the period where we went without really any results at all, when we were out without Solanke and we were without Tavernier. It's clear that basically if he didn't have Tavernier, his plan was void. There was really nothing to go on for O'Neill if he didn't have Tavernier, and especially if he didn't have Tavernier, but also Solanke was very important. And if he doesn't have those, he's got nothing. He's got no plans. He's got no ideas. Now he's got a little bit more. Now he's got Traore. Now he's got Ouattara. Now Tavernier he's been back for one game. He'll be back again soon. Now Solanke's back. Now O'Neill maybe has some semblance of a plan in terms of counter-attacking football. But for long periods, he had nothing. And the fact is, he's the least experienced manager, probably almost the least experienced manager in the entire professional leagues in England. And that's not what you want, where you've got new investors that have come in and looking to put hundreds of millions into a club. It's not what any of us want. Fredericks on the right-hand side again, going up against Ake. Puts the cross in, straight down the keeper's throat. Sure, if we can realize, I think we will keep most of the squad, as besides Lerner and Mepham, I don't see any other clear Prem players. Who would go? Well, Solanke, I think there'll definitely be Eddie would buy Solanke. I think Newcastle will go for Solanke. I think I could see Solanke going. Neto's not going to stick around. I think the players that all the players that we brought in January, I think they'll still be here. I think Senesi would get some courting from outside of England, because he was playing in the Europa Conference League final 6 months ago. I think there's a good chance we keep a large chunk of the squad. The fact is that we've got the money for it as well. So, now we've kind of got the money for it to keep hold of these players for a year. And if we shoot ourselves straight back up from the Championship, then I could certainly see it. I think as long as we move on the manager and bring in someone else that's got more semblance of, got more experience. I don't have too much of an issue with O'Neill in terms of he's clearly got some capability to be a good manager. He's just got no experience, and he's getting experience at the wrong time with the wrong team in the wrong division. Sorry, doing well there. But he's, for a team that are looking to go on the up, he's not the right man for the job. He's just not. I thought he muddled it. Actually. Yeah, that Southampton team was weird as heck. It was just had about 500 ideas and couldn't implement one of them. And then we found out he really didn't have much of any idea in the first place. Against Everton, any team can win against them, even with Dyche, Lellen, and Lampard. Dyche is actually a good manager. Lampard's not a manager. He's a vibes guy. That's all he is. Oh, is that part of the? Well, the thing is, it's an obligation to buy, but we don't know. We don't know if. I mean, I put your hand up if you know the exact stipulations of the contract. But I wouldn't be surprised if that obligation to buy is present even if we go down. Ben, stupid as it sounds, I'd forgotten about him until the move last week, but everyone else we'd wonder if Ainsworth. No, Ainsworth. I mean, I think I've got a lot of time for Gareth Ainsworth, but like, if you look at what he's done so far, it's let's not get ahead of ourselves with what he's accomplished. He's done really well with significant limitations being the wicket manager, but let's see what he does for QPR first. It's a bit of an arse to take someone that didn't keep the team up at the bottom of the Championship but does well in the top League One to suddenly taking them to a Premier League side. You never know, he could do well, but he's going into a situation at QPR which should suit him. We'll see how he does there. We forever do ovals. We going down yo-yo between divisions. I think we. I what? I don't know if forever do overhauls. I don't think I would want to overhaul every time. Ooh, that's deflected for a corner. I wouldn't want to overhaul everything every single time we go down, if we go down every time. But I do think that it is going to be a case of finding the right manager. As much as, I mean, that sounds so simple. Like, duh, of course you need to find the right manager. But, not every manager does well in every situation. Parker, he got us up. He didn't do much more than that. Apart from Eddie Howe, though, we really haven't hit on anything since he's in 3 decades. Sean, why do you think Solanke's Prem, especially Premier striker, has to score, but Solanke in Championship? It's because of his all-round game. He's a modern number 9. It's because of everything he does outside of the game, outside of scoring goals, and he scored 3, assisted 4. Not incredible numbers, but he's also playing for a team that's right down the bottom. He's not Mitrovic. You look at what Eddie Howe wants from a striker. That's what he brought. That's why he brought Solanke in. If you look at what Solanke can do, look at everything around what a striker is expected to do now in terms of his pressing game, his intelligence, so many things that Solanke does well. Such an amazing all-round game. If he gets more chances, he'll put them away. He's not the greatest finisher. He missed more big chances than anyone else in the Championship last season. He scored 29 league goals. When you get in the opportunities, he will score eventually. It's just everything else that he does. And I think that Eddie Howe would really want him. He's already got a player that could score 20 in terms of Isak and Wilson. But Wilson gets injured too much. And turns out Isak gets injured a lot as well. You don't necessarily need a goal scorer that's going to score you 20 goals. You need to have enough players outside of the striker that are going to keep scoring goals for you. Almiron has got 7. Saint-Maximin is injured for too long, but he'll probably score you 5 to 10. Joel Linton will get you a few. Guimaraes will get you a few. As long as you've got enough players around the squad that will get you the goals, it's not vital that you score 20 as long as you're creating chances within the squad. But maybe the fact that I even thought it just shows how sparse the manager market is. That's a good point, Ben, to be fair. But I would like our team to put more work into finding a man from outside of England. We haven't had a non-English manager or non-British manager in how long? Hey, I'd love to keep producing English managers, but if you want to progress, you want to try and find some of the best that you can, and that's not always going to be in England. Andrew, this has nothing to do with the standard of our players, it's mindset and tactics. Well, it's definitely to do with the standard of our players. It's not obviously got everything to do with it, but let's just to say it has nothing to do with the standard of our players is just lying to yourself. It's like there's definitely a level of standard of players involved in this, but I do agree tactics play a part, as it does in every game. And lining up too defensively, yeah, there's a strong argument for that. But at the same time, if you don't have a solid defensive plan going against the second best team in the division, this team that are still the favourites yeah, arguably second best. They're still favourites amongst the bookies to win the league. You have to have a strong defensive setup. Against Arsenal, probably, but going away, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the same one. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. And to be fair, I think Eddie's one of the only managers in the division that will think that way, but he wants a certain type of striker. Although I do think he misused Solanke in terms of his stringent want to play 4-4-2, even when it wasn't something he could set up properly because he wasn't good enough at arranging a defence. Yeah, so he's been involved in a third of our goals. That's still a decent record. So what players do we need? In what situation? Don't know, as in if we go down or if we stay up, and in what positions are you sort of looking for? I don't think we've got any plans for that. I can't do any research on that where I am in Manchester. I don't have the opportunity to pop down to Bournemouth, unfortunately. Otherwise, I probably would have a look and see what we can find. I don't think we've got any plans necessarily to look into that. I would certainly message, if you're on Twitter, I would certainly, or maybe just in a back of the net video, I would mention to Sam Davis whether he's looking to do, because he has done a couple of videos on the training facilities in the past and the progress of the facilities. He's hired a drone in the past to have a look over the top of it before to see what's going on. And we don't have the facilities for that, unfortunately. But I would, if you're on Twitter, I'd give Sam Davis a bell, or just put it in the comment of a recent back of the net video. I've done very little about talking about the match this half, but to be fair, it's been far more interesting to talk with people in the comments. There's been not much to be positive about in terms of the match, I would say, in the second half. If I'm able to get, if Kirk's able to get on to have a chat with me and review the game, I'm not going to have much to say in terms of an opinion on what happened in the game in the second half. I've seen very little of it. Nathan Ake getting a standing ovation as he goes off the pitch, which is lovely to see. Another player that never got his chance to say goodbye to the Cherries fans. I still would say I would still have him as probably the best as Bournemouth's best player in the Premier League. I think obviously we had George Best, who I never saw. But in terms of just how good he was and how consistently good he was, he really was something. That doesn't surprise me. As I mentioned in the reverse fixture, they were 3-0 up at half-time there and completely took their foot off the gas and didn't really try in the second half. And nothing much happened as far as I remember. And then they scored a goal through an own goal. Oh, funny that. They got their fourth in the reverse fixture through an own goal as well. Bournemouth actually pushing on. Jayden Anthony has since come on. Got the typical Anthony Zamora partnership on the left-hand side again. It's interesting, actually, the billing has come off for Rothwell quite early over a number of games recently. Although he was kind of seemingly carrying injury a couple of games ago, if I remember, which was sort of, or he may have been carrying a niggle for a little while. Has certainly not been making the full 90 recently. Origins says high performance pod is overlooked. He says himself, I think he might have been wrong to stick to his guns in the face of. I have listened to that. pod. I don't remember which bit you're talking about there, but he certainly does. He's a very self-reflective person. He will have looked at the failings that he had, and he did. I think he tried too hard to change things in the 5th season, and it completely backfired on him because of injuries. But he just wasn't able to make the most of what he had left after the injuries kind of really wrecked the attack. Sure, I don't need to play better. Oh yeah, I put that up before. Yeah. We want to love a centre. He really deserves everything. Love for a great player. Great. Yeah, he just comes across as such a genuinely nice person. I don't think it's. I think when you're already 4-0 down, and someone that you would have wanted to welcome, you'd be happy to welcome back at any moment. Leave the pitch. I don't think it's too bad. Zamora Anthony, left-hand side of the box. Zamora pulling it back. Oh, someone please. Yay! Jefferson Lerma. Well, I think I did say I wouldn't be surprised to see Bournemouth score in this game. It was only ever going to be a consolation. But I'm actually able to call these things now and again. Sometimes I'm not just talking shit to myself in front of a camera with 17 people watching. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking rubbish in front of a camera with 17 people watching. But I would say it's that Anthony Zamora partnership again. It does work really well sometimes. I think it works well most of the time, to be honest. And who's that? Diaz not able to? Yeah, Diaz not able to clear the ball properly. Jefferson Lerma takes a good first touch and smacks it in with a second. So, yeah, we do have a goal at the very least. To be fair, that's more than we normally get against Man City. They're not looking at this for, like... Oh, no, I thought they'd stopped the kickoff and were looking at this on VAR or something. David, comeback is on. Yeah, well and truly on. We've only got 7 minutes plus added time to score another few. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched most of this. I haven't watched most of the second half, to be fair. So that wouldn't surprise me. 7 games mostly. Yeah, I do remember 7 games. That was it. Anthony should start against Arsenal. I mean, to be fair, if we go back to the 4-3-3 that we were playing before, then I think Anthony would come in for Mepham. I think it would be just return to what we had before, and then just have Anthony in instead of Tavernier, which is what I thought we would do. I predicted, as did I'm pretty sure they showed in the preview with Aaron and Kirk, that we thought it was going to be the same, just with Anthony instead of Tavernier. Yep, I did. I got that one thing right. We got a goal. 85 minutes gone. Rothwell playing it through to Solanke, who needs to take a much better touch than that. And it's moments like that that Sean completely prove you right in regards to Solanke, because he does leave the ball behind a little bit too often. Rather than a goal against Villa. What do you mean, Ben? Rather, as in, I'd rather a score against Villa. Is Villa our first game? Is Villa our first game back after the terrible run that we're on now? Yeah, it is. I see what you mean. Yeah, Villa's our first game after this run of 3 games. Admittedly, I would also rather any goal. Well, it depends. Depends if we've got any chance of getting a result in these next 3. If you could say that we score 3 goals across these 3 games but don't get anything, I would rather we score all 3 against Villa. Agree. Zamora doing another great run from left coming inside. Ouattara on the ball. Lerma, Rothwell, Mepham. Oh, lovely ball behind from Lerma. Oh, that was close. Fredericks with the ball in and Solanke almost turning that in. Yeah, there was those rumours that Arteta actually wanted Anthony. I could never see that actually happening. But I mean, he did come through for a decent... He was in the Arsenal Academy for a good while, so I'd imagine they just want him there so that you can get the Arsenal fans to chant he's one of our own. Lerma through to Solanke, almost keeping it. Ouattara. Oh, I was just thinking we're pressing them well and winning it, and then they just fall with one-touch passes and they're completely through our press. City have completely switched off. And it happens when we play a lot of sides that we suddenly, when we're already quite far down, pressing us. I've mentioned it a number of times. I do think we actually pressed quite well at the start. We really did. But there's a very significant risk-reward process involved when you're pressing Manchester City, who can, in that passage just there, when we pressed really hard, they just played 4 one-touch passes and completely bypassed our press. So, particularly with fans that, as we want our team to be aggressive. We want our team to press and really attack. There's almost no way that you can win in that regard. And as much as we would love to press really high, I'm pretty sure, as much as I didn't watch the game, Nottingham Forest, I think, just basically sat back the entire game and got 1 goal on the break. 1 chance and 1 goal, and that was it. And I think that's what Forest did. There's two different... Oh, Anthony trying to grab a goal at the end there as well. Anthony doing some good work there. And then, it's a shame. He knuckleballs it when he was trying to curl it. He actually gets a nice connection that ends up sort of taking it away from the goal a little bit. I do think, as much as why was Anthony dropped? He wasn't dropped. He didn't start the last game. But I see what you mean. Why wasn't Anthony instead of Tavernier? Game state is big. Okay, we're 4-0 down. It's 4-1. Sorry, 4-1 down. Don't want to minimise Lerma's goal. It's all good and well saying why weren't we this and that in the first half. Man City were a different beast in the first half as well. Things change massively. The attacking team, the superior team, completely eases off the gas when they're this far up. Like, how many points behind the dotted line do we need to stay within after these 3 weeks? Still feel confident? That's a good question. Be interested to hear other people's thoughts as well. Oh, Ben's put it here. 5 points up till 12th. So if we can stay in touch and above them up the road, I'll be happy. With regards to 12th, I'm guessing you're talking about, after the 12th of March. So, game at the moment, we are 1 point off safety. Well, 2 points, because if we're on 22, we'll still be below Leeds on goal difference. So at the moment, we're 2 points off safety. If we look at Leeds games, Leeds have got a cup game, but they've also got Chelsea, Brighton, and Wolves. They've got Chelsea and Brighton. Chelsea, they could easily get something from, and Brighton, I would expect Brighton to win that game. So Leeds could have anything between 1 and 4 points from those games. Everton, I've got Arsenal and Forest. Arsenal, I think, will win. Forest, that could easily be an Everton win. So I'll say they get 3 points from that. So that would leave us 6 points behind. West Ham. They've got Europa League games in between. They might be knackered. They've got Brighton and Villa. 2 or 3 points from that. I imagine we could well be somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if we're somewhere like probably 5 or 6 points off safety. That's going to be a tough one. I don't think that's insurmountable. But it's going to be tough. Look, I would say we send 3, but I think we'll go up to 6. Yeah. I would say 3, but one of them is going to be 4. Could be. Again, this all depends on what we do, and obviously what, funnily enough, I can't predict the future. That's what I'm saying there. It depends on what everyone does. So we're all making guesses. 4 or 5 points from safety, then pressure to pick up wins. Yep, definitely. Penalty. Yeah, there's a free kick right on the edge of the box. Rather than a penalty, it's a free kick. Ooh, over the top. Sorry, I missed this one from Wing. They can drive up, but they should be much more tired traveling a week. Had a tough game as well. Another 9-0. Depends what you expect. And I mean, we've talked about, as us two have argued back and forth on this one. And as I mentioned at the start, like, this is a free hit, and I don't expect us to win. But there's a difference between, it's now getting to the point where the free hits stop being free, and they start becoming like, no, you've actually got to start picking up points against the big teams here. And now we are 7 games in to our against 7 out of 12 done against the big 6, because it's now full time, and 0 points. That's not great. Regardless of the result here today, because I did expect us to lose. Regardless of the result, we're running out of opportunities to pick up points. The pressure is going to increase more and more over these next few games, regardless of the fact that, again, don't expect us to win this, to get us anything in this game. Don't expect us to get anything from Arsenal. I do expect us to get something against Liverpool, because that's now reaches the point where we will have lost more and more opportunities to get points. I can turn that off now. Don't need to worry about the match sounds and the commentary. It can all disappear. We start running out of opportunities to get points, and then even if it's against Liverpool, even if it's a big team, this is not the same Liverpool that we expect over these seasons. And even the one that we lost 9-0 to, that's almost entirely down to Parker's nonsense setup. I still firmly believe that. But also, they just took every chance they got, which is not normally what happens. And to be fair, in this game, they took a good chunk of took all the golden chances. They took them. Just wondering, look at the XG score here against... well, that is surprising, actually. Although, to be fair, that'll be largely down to Lerma's. Oh, no. 0.16 XG. Where was the big XG calls? Solanke had... Oh, that was in that scramble in the box. Solanke fired the ball at a defender twice and got 0.4 XG out of it. There's the XG, 1.35 to 2.38. That sounds about right in terms of XG, but 3 big chances. They took all 3 of them. Apparently, we had 1 big chance and scored it. Lerma was given 0.16 XG. That's not the definition of a big chance. So that's a weird one there from Flopmob. Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, them's the breaks, and it was a difficult one. No problem. Thanks for watching along, Wing, and engaging. Because tell you what, the second half flew by for me because I had a good time chatting with everyone. Because I was not watching the game much. There wasn't much to see. Donald, right? So yes, let's get on to the more important things. Let's forget about that game. Move on. Who have we got coming up that we need to be getting results against? And everyone else join in with us as well. What games are we playing that we should be getting results against? So if we look coming up, I'm going to scroll in to make it easy for everyone to see. So Villa's a game that we should be getting at least a point against. I do think that we should be getting at least a point from this game. This is actually a decent Villa side. But I think that we definitely have enough about us to get something from this game, and we will be at the point where I think a lot of us have talked about will be 3 points behind, will be 4, 5. I think we'll probably be 6 points away from safety by the end of this Liverpool game, maybe 5. So that's going to be an interesting one. Sean, you're doing Arsenal as well. I was really enjoying to see the result. Is this? No, it's at 3:00. It's not on telly, so I won't. I will still be watching it, but I won't be doing a watch along. No. I probably will be for Liverpool though, because that's an early kickoff. That's on the telly. I will probably do a Liverpool watch along. I'll need to confirm that, but I think this has actually been pretty fun, even despite the result, and hopefully we'll actually look like we might get something out of that Liverpool game, depending on how Liverpool are doing. Liverpool aren't the same. All the caveats: do we produce? Do Liverpool play? Yada yada yada. Yeah, I think I probably will do. I think that's one of our last few televised games. Southampton Bournemouth. That's televised. That's a game we've got to win. But I don't think I'll do a watch along for that one. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't think I will. I think I probably will for the Liverpool. Aston Villa, we need to probably get a point against that. We need to beat Fulham. We really need to beat Fulham. We need to get something out of Brighton. We need to get something out of Leicester. Will we win either of those two? I think we need to win at least one of them. Tottenham, tough, but we should aim to get a point out of that. West Ham, we need to aim to beat. Southampton, we need to aim to beat. Leeds, we need to aim to beat. Chelsea, we should be looking to try and beat. Palace, we should be trying to beat. This run of games here from Villa. We've got Villa, Fulham, Brighton, Leicester. Maybe not Spurs. West Ham, Southampton, Leeds, probably Chelsea, and certainly Palace. All those games, basically, we should be aiming to get something from. We should really be trying to actually get something from those games, and aiming to get something from those games, and being disappointed if we don't. At which point, the final 2 games, Man United at home, which I really hope we don't need to get anything from in that game. I really hope we're at the point where we're like, okay, if we lose that, it's okay. We just need to beat Everton. If we come to the end of the season and we need to beat Everton to stay up, I think we'll have done really well. And just not in terms of like where we are now, in terms of like throughout the whole season. If you'd said at the start of the season, you will stay up if you beat Everton on the final game of the season, I think we all would have taken that. And I certainly would now. And I do think that given the odd parallels between our entire stint in the Premier League from last year, from last time around, those 5 years, we started at home to Villa and we ended away to Everton. It's funny how we've got that this season, but obviously this time around we actually beat Villa to start well, and I'm hoping we actually I'm hoping we just stay up, to be honest. Even if we lose against Everton, as long as we stay up, it doesn't really matter which order the results come in. I'm just hoping that we stay up. As much as I think a lot of us are sort of like, it's whatever. If we go down, because the Championship is more fun in a lot of ways, we'll win more games. I would just rather us be in the Prem. It's easier for me to watch games. It's just selfishly, I can catch every game. If we're in the Prem, I can't do that if we're in the Championship. Right, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get to Kirk at some point. I have been on screen for 2 hours 25 straight. I'm going to take a brief break just to refill my water, go to the loo, and then we're back on, and then we'll chat a bit more, and hopefully we'll do a review with Kirk if we can get on. But I'll catch you in 2 to 3 minutes. And we're back. What did I miss? So, yes, Kirk should be popping on shortly. Speak of the devil. There he is. Hello, Gaffer. How are you after that game? 4-1, disappointing result, obviously, but not outside of the realms of expectations. What did you think of the performance? But in the first half, because second half was different. What do you think of the first half performance?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Like you said, I expected a loss today. Anything can happen in football, but the loss is not a massive surprise. I mean, I think it is Man City's biggest win of the season, though, on the road. It's just more how we approached the game, really, that was annoying, because I think we played into their hands. We clearly set up to try and be strong defensively, but it had the opposite effect, I felt. We conceded cheap goals. We actually helped them score one through Foden as well. And I just felt like you had nothing to lose today. So, yeah, I've only just got back to the car, John, so I'm trying to gather my
You're out of breath
as well. But just felt like it was a little bit of a wasted opportunity to give Man City a real football match. And the last 10 minutes was better, but it was similar to Stamford Bridge against Chelsea. The game had gone. Man City were happy to give up possession. And, yeah, we looked bright, but football match was well and truly over after 85 minutes.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of people on that have been messaging on the watch along saying that they agree with you that we were far too defensive. I think actually that we probably pressed the best we have pressed against a top six side all season, because we just didn't before this game. I think we actually won the ball quite a lot, particularly through Traore and Zamora on the left-hand side in Manchester City's own third. The problem was that as soon as we won the ball, they counter-pressed so effectively that we just end up consistently just going backwards, and it really wasn't. We weren't able to make the most out of the few counter-attacking and high-pressing chances we created. But I do agree. It's interesting that he decided to go with the back five. With Tavernier out, we expected Anthony to just come straight back in. And while I do think that I've been a little bit more understanding of that, I think I've been very much in the minority of people. I think most people certainly would much rather if we just stuck with what we were doing, put Anthony in as a direct replacement. And I don't think that would have changed much personally. I just feel as though we unfortunately suffered from bad luck, particularly with the first goal. We did suffer from bad luck. The deflections went their way. The second goal was defensively switched off. And then the third was just Billing, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, that was a terrible decision from Billing. But what did you see when you saw the lineups? What did you think was going to happen?
I mean, the feeling across the stadium before the game was like, why are we going so negative? Why are we putting three centre-backs in? We know that we've tried this time and time again under different management and it's never really worked. We might have had the odd win, but not over a long spell. It's never really worked. As I said, I think that Gary O'Neill had an opportunity today where he could have done a few different things and actually still lost, but come out of it with our heads held high and given Manchester City a football match. The one sort of way he could have approached this, and it might still fall negatively on him, which it shouldn't have because we're playing Manchester City, is the way he set up. That's the only way that this was going to frustrate me. It's the only way that it was going to frustrate anyone who's frustrated, because you've basically just almost given up the game and you're already saying, look, we fear you. We fear you. And with all those attacking players that Manchester City have, I mean, Gary O'Neill, John, would have read way more coaching books than I have. But I know in the 30 plus years that I've been watching football, you very rarely keep the best players in the world out for 90 minutes. It just doesn't happen. So based on that theory, let's have a little bit of a go. Let's play to our strengths as well if we can, like you've said, where we've had better momentum in the last few weeks. I know that Tavernier wasn't going to be in the side, but put Anthony in there. But you put three defenders in and we were poor defensively. You know, we were switching defenders in regards to who was marking Haaland. They were getting in and behind us too easy. Zamora was probably ball watching for one or two. Some of the deflections went their way, as you said. And then we're gifting balls because we're so deep passing the ball. And yeah, just very weird. I'm not surprised, John, that Gary O'Neill did it. I just don't see what the benefit was, because he could have played a completely different way or a similar way that what we have done and come out of this fixture. We're still losing, but having our heads held high a little bit.
Yeah, without a doubt. Do you want to see us? I mean, next game is away to Arsenal.
Yeah.
it's a pretty darn similar situation, but being away from home, you'll expect that we'll be just as deep. It will be even deeper. If you remember City away, you remember Liverpool away, and we were in our own box for basically 90 minutes in both of those games. I expect it to be pretty similar against Arsenal if we set up the same way. Do you think that O'Neill will look at that and think it really wasn't what I'd hoped? Maybe we should just stick with the 4-3-3 when we go to Arsenal? Or do you expect him to play basically the same lineup again next week?
I'm really not sure, because I think as some of the games have been coming around, we're thinking, okay, is he learning a bit? And then we default back to stuff that's not worked earlier on in the season. We really haven't troubled any of these teams that are at the top of the league. I think Arsenal are there to be had a little bit. They're obviously going to be favourites to win this game. Of course they are, but they only beat Leicester just. We know that Villa troubled them, although it was at Villa Park. But all we can do is just go and give them a football match, and we got to play to our strengths. As I said, if we set up a similar way again and just try and shut teams out. We didn't do it at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea have struggled to beat football teams. We haven't done it today, and Man City have drawn their last two fixtures going into this one. Arsenal are not completely the free-flowing team that they were earlier on in the season, and I just don't see the point. It's completely pointless just conceding defeat so easily that with the approach and intentions that he had today. So I'm hoping he learns from this one. This really shouldn't be a negative reaction, even if we lose, but it is because of the approach, unfortunately. But I'm hoping lessons are learned and we can somehow put a foothold in the fixture next week. I'll be going. I am looking forward to it, but I just want to see us give some of these teams at the top of the league a bit of a football match, because other teams are doing it, John. Other teams that have come up from the Championship as well are giving these football teams a game. So there's no cop-out in saying that, it shouldn't be a cop-out because it's Manchester City, because Forest proved last week you can get results against them. Yeah,
absolutely. Although they were even more defensive than we were. As far as I know, they did sit back in their own box for basically 90 minutes and managed to get a counter, but it's certainly a different way of doing things to what, well, I suppose we were still quite defensive, but still. One last question before I let you go and get home, enjoy your evening with your family. Any players that stood out from that match to you in terms of performance? Was there anyone that you felt came out of that match with credit from a Bournemouth perspective?
I thought Anthony was bright when he came on, but we were given the ball because the game was over. Yeah, I thought he was bright when he came off the bench. I thought Rothwell tried to get on the ball late as well. Jeff Lerma's goal was decent, although I thought Lerma's contribution on the ball earlier on in that first half was poor, but I think everyone on the ball was pretty poor, and that didn't help us going in 3-0 down. So difficult to pick out significant performances within that. Did add in an extra centre-back unsettle that good partnership that Stevens and Senesi have had of late, although I thought Meckham was okay considering we conceded 3 goals. Difficult to pick out some strong performances. The guys, the team, the lads pretty much knew the game was over at half-time. We conceded early in the second half, and we had a little late burst at the end just to put something on the football match. So, yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to pick up man the matches, but unfortunately we've set up, for me, in the wrong way, and it was almost predictable. It was very risky. It's played exactly how I thought it might, and we just need to make sure it doesn't happen next week, in my opinion.
Yes, fingers crossed. We certainly need to put a better display together against Arsenal, without a doubt, but I do think this is... I would like to see us try and play these games in the way that we would look to attack a lot of the lesser teams, and I don't mean lesser in a disrespectful way. It's just you often see, particularly us, over the years, we've set up differently against the big six as opposed to everyone else. I do think that this game against Arsenal, particularly against Liverpool, we should be looking to continue to practice this counter-attacking plan that definitely seems to be building, but actually, set up in a way that's more conducive to creating those counterattacks. Because today, we were we didn't have the men to support the attacks, I don't think, in the same way that we will going forward, hopefully in matches to come. But thank you very much for joining in a quick review of that game. But let's face it, none of us want to dwell on that all that much. So we move on to the Emirates in a week's time. But safe trip back, safe journey back home, Kirk, and enjoy your evening.
No, I appreciate that, John, and give John a like for the watch along. A tough one, I'm sure, for him, but a great job I'm sure he's done, and I'll definitely watch it back. And as you said, John, in our DNA, attack is our best form of defence. So we need to take that philosophy into next weekend.
Absolutely. Right. Thanks for joining, Kirk.
Cheers.
Well, that is that. We've had a brief review, but as I mentioned, I don't think many of us really want to dwell too much on that. I think in terms of the last question I asked Kirk, in terms of standout performers, there wasn't really any, I don't think. Some players had moments. Traore had moments. Zamora had moments in attack. Anthony looked a bright spark when he came on, but game state plays a huge role in that. We were already 4-0 down, and he obviously had an impact on the goal. If Billing hadn't given the goal away for the third goal, I would have been looking at Billing for some decent levels. But I think Ben mentioned he wasn't really as much of an impact in the second half. I think that mistake really affected him. I would say I don't remember Stevens making a mistake. I thought Stevens did a pretty good job. Mepham, unfortunately, fell asleep a little bit for the second goal. The ball over top to Gundogan. I think Senesi did okay, carrying the ball out from the back as well. I don't think Neto could have done anything for any of the goals. It's difficult to pick out and say, I think the defenders did okay, and we conceded 4 goals. I just don't remember too many mistakes from them, but it also wasn't an outstanding performance in any way from any one particular set of players on the Bournemouth side. And as we spoke about, I don't think City got out of maybe third. They certainly didn't need to do too much. They weren't all that impressive overall in the first half, but when they created opportunities, they tucked them away. They made 2 really good chances, and the third one was given to them. They scored every one of them. And as soon as that was done, the game was over by the end of the first half. So a little bit more luck our way, and it could have only been 1, and things might have been a little bit different in the second half. We might have been able to push them on a bit more, but I don't know. Anyway, like I said, don't really want to dwell on it. I don't think any of us do. We've got to move on and try and do better against Arsenal, and then really, really show something of ourselves against Liverpool in 2 weeks' time when we play our next home game. But for tonight, I've been on screen for way too long. You've had to listen to me for way too long, and I think it's about time we all had a pint and chilled out for the evening. So that, I think, is exactly what I'm going to do. But for tonight, thank you very much for all of those that joined me. Thank you to all those that you stuck with me. Huge thank you to those that have watched all or most of the show. Please do give us a like as a thank you to me for me prattling on at you for 2 hours 45. And I will look forward to giving more of my opinions on the next set of videos, and as I mentioned, quite possibly going to do a watch along against Liverpool in 2 weeks' time. We'll see. I might do, I might not. We'll confirm later on. But for now, I will bid you all a good evening and a fantastic rest of the weekend. Up the cherries.